Caitlin, thank you. Well, the Trump administration's Department of Education will restart collecting federal student loans in default on May 5th. Now, that ends a pandemic-era pause that began roughly 5 years ago. Where can borrowers turn for information or even repayment assistance? Karen Kafa is at the Department of Education with more on what is next. Good to see you, Karen.
Hi there, Larry. You know, there's been a lot of back and forths when it comes to federal student loan repayment in the last 5 years or so. Stops, starts, legal challenges, but this is one that borrowers really want to pay attention to. The Education Department says it's time to check in. If you think you have a federal student loan in default, get started on repayment or face potentially serious financial consequences. The Education Department will restart collections on federal student loans in default on May 5th, impacting at least 5 million borrowers.
The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion, but fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable.
The Biden administration resumed repayments on federal student loans in 2023 after a COVID-era pause. But the Education Department hasn't collected on defaulted loans that have gone at least 270 days without payment since March 2020. Sarah Austin, policy analyst for the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, says the stops and starts have created some confusion.
With the long pause on payments as well as that on-ramp after the repayment pause, there has just been a lot of borrowers who are not used to the repayment landscape.
The Trump administration will also restart the Treasury Offset Program, which collects debts by garnishing federal and state payments like tax refunds. By this summer, the Education Department said a borrower's wages could be garnished. Austin says borrowers can stay on top of their loans by making sure their loan servicer knows where to get in touch.
Ensure that your contact information is always current and accurate, especially thinking about students who are leaving school. Their address while they're in school may be very different than their address once they graduate or leave school.
And the Education Department says they will reach out to the more than 5 million or so borrowers in default before May 5th. But borrowers who want to be proactive or just check on their status, find out who their loan servicer is, can find that information at studentaid.gov. Larry?
Well, Karen, before we let you go, can you give us more details into what will happen for borrowers in default? Will they receive advance notice of collections or will there be any other consequences?
Yeah, borrowers in default are going to receive that notification from the Department of Education before May 5th in this case. And there will also be given some options for getting things back on track, some of their repayment options. The Trump administration also says the Education Department has another income-driven repayment plan that they've restructured. Details on that coming in the next week or so, and also details on loan rehabilitation programs. So that is something to watch for in terms of options. In terms of any kinds of garnishment, the Department of Education is going to use the Treasury Offset Program to perhaps take out of a borrower's federal or state tax returns, Social Security. They'll get notifications of that as well. Also important to note, Larry, is that the Trump administration has said there will be no mass forgiveness during this administration. That was something that the Biden administration was working on and that many borrowers had hoped for. That is not happening. And the Education Department says if you haven't checked in on those student loans in a while, now's the time to do so.
All right, it's time for folks to pony up, it seems. The Trump administration making it very clear that we are moving in a different direction. Karen Kafa at the Department of Education. Karen, thank you so much.